In today's episode, something pretty controversial. To use or not to use torque converter spacers. Stick around. So here's the dilemma. We pulled the Power Glide out of the 70 Nova. We replaced it with a Turbohydromatic 350 with a 2800 stall converter. Fully seated, the bell housing up against the engine block and the torque converter all the way back against the pump, we have about 0.4 inches before the mounting pads touch the flex plate. So we got to decrease that down to about 3/16 of an inch. Now, some people say things are wrong. Some people say you need to take the torque converter to a specialist and get pads welded on it. Hughes and TCI say that you can use spacers. Some people say use billet spacers. Some people say use washers. Today, we're going to use washers. So, here's what I did. I carried myself down to the local tractor supply store along with digital calipers. And I stood in front of the grade 8 washer bin and I stacked 3 washers at a time on top of each other. And I kept measuring. Each time I come up with a different measurement, I made a different stack. And I did this until I found 3 stacks of 3 washers that were within tolerance. I ended up with 3 stacks of 3 washers that measured 180 thousandths. So we're going to install the 180 thousandth spacer back and see where we're at. All right, now that I've got you underneath here, let me show you what's going on. So the torque converter is fully seated back against the pump. And here we have almost 400 thousandths. 4/10 of an inch. Let me show you the caliper real quick. If I lay this up on here and we look, there we go. So we got to slide this baby forward just a little bit to get it out of that area, just so if any ballooning and flex takes place, that the torque converter has a little bit of room to move, or else we're going to blow the pump out, or else it's going to push the thrust bearing out of the crankshaft up this way. So give me just a second, we'll start putting this baby together. Started to rain again. Anyway, here's a picture of what it looks like underneath once it's all been done. All right, so we got her all done. Went around, put those 3 washers on each of the lugs between the mounting pad and the flex plate. Went back and measured everything, and I am just over 190 thousandths of play now, so that puts me pretty well within tolerance of where I need to be for that spacing. In case there's any ballooning or flex, it won't push back into the pump, or won't push forward into the crankshaft and mess up a thrust bearing. Here's a little tip if you're going to do this same thing, even if you're going to use the regular spacers. Don't tighten up the bolts before you go all the way around. Put in one, get it good and finger tight. Go to the next one, finger tight, next one, finger tight, then go back and do all your torquing of the bolts down. If you go ahead and torque the first one down, you might not be able to get that second and third one in without doing some prying. So that takes care of that situation. Let's see. Next up, we're either going to tackle the fuel hose issue here, or the cooler lines. We're putting on a new trans cooler in here. We're going to reroute it, put it back under the frame back here, as well as some new AN lines. We're not going to go back with the old steel lines anymore. So that's it for now. Hey, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Oh, and click that little bell so you can be notified whenever I upload new videos about maybe the Nova build or anything else we get into at Papa's Garage.